Hey Internet friends, it's Tyson coming back at you with another install on a piece of protective equipment that I have for my bike. Again, if you haven't watched previous videos, this is a 2019 BMW F850 GS Adventure model, and I wanted to get something to protect this headlamp because just like almost everything else with BMWs, these things are expensive. And I knew that that was going to be something that's probably going to take rock chips and maybe larger debris going down the road and the trail. So of course I wanted something to protect it. There are some wire mesh headlamp protectors that you'll find out there, but even those, if you're getting some of the smaller rock chips, and out here in the West we have a lot of trucks flipping gravel up and what have you, that those aren't going to protect. This is a solid piece of polycarbonate, and as you can see here, it actually is a little bit larger than the headlamp housing, so it's not only protecting the lens, but the surrounding area as well. What I'm not totally thrilled with is the amount of tools that were required. For what you pay for a lot of these accessories, I think that they should do a little bit better job of matching up the hardware. Let me explain. In order to remove the factory screws to get ready to install the mounting hardware for this, you need a T25 and a T30 Torx to get the factory screws out. In order to put this new bracket on, you need a 3mm and a 4mm Allen wrench. In addition, when you go under in the back here, you have to get back up underneath, and that's one thing for the RRR tool set that I have in a previous video, those small wrenches that fit into the handles. That made it really nice in here because, I mean, I don't have giant hands, but I could barely squeeze my hand in there, but with that smaller wrench without the handle on it, I was able to pretty easily get that 10mm closed wrench in there to get that nut off. So that made it quite a bit easier. If it would have been a full-size wrench, it would have been a little bit more of a pain for me. So there you go. T25, T30, 3mm, 4mm, just to get the parts off and on. Now we go to the front here. You need a 7/16 wrench in order to get the bracket on that goes to the nipple that holds the assembly on, and I'll show you that in just a moment. So between all that, 6 tools to take the factory stuff off and put this on, I think they could have done a little bit better and paid a little more attention to detail on this by making it where you could literally do this with 3 tools instead of 6 tools. So that's my biggest gripe. It's really my only gripe because everything else about this is really solid. It's made, it looks like it fits from the factory on this bike. Now, in the brackets here, there are rubber nipples that or inserts that go in, and then they're held on by these nipples here. And this comes off pretty easily. It's not like it's going to ever fall off. You do have to give it some pressure to take it off, but you can see we have these metal nipples here. So this hardware goes on, as you can see, and then it just pops in. What I like about that is if you're riding, you know, inevitably you're going to be riding in places where we have mud or a lot of bugs, and rather than having to scrub everything off and cause additional abrasion to this, I think it's nice where you can take this and soak it for a little while, you know, maybe overnight in the sink wherever you're staying somewhere, and the bugs will just basically slide right off. And then of course it gives you access to the factory headlamp, and then you can just plop it right back in here. It's the mounting hardware it's super solid. This thing is not going anywhere. I really like that. It doesn't get, you know, it doesn't interfere at all with the factory windscreen. Whether or not this fitment is the same for the GS versus the GSA model, I'm not sure, so double check that. I'll put a link below to this part, but you'll need to check the fitment to make sure if you have the GS model, because I know that there are some hardware differences because of the windscreen and the way that some of the additional plastic is on this bike. But overall, I'm extremely satisfied with what they've done here to make this protection for the factory headlamp. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hey, I'd really like it if you'd give this a thumbs up, and even more if you subscribe and ring that little bell, because I'm making these videos right now, getting this bike ready, but The real fun is going to begin soon when we get on the road and we have this 16,000 or more mile trip over 90 days. And I'm going to be coming at you almost daily as we're on the road, meeting new people, showing you the countryside and showing you America on this motorcycle. So subscribe and I'll see you soon.